5 o'clock local time. The sea is perfectly calm. No whitecaps, no swell, just a wide sheet of steel gray water stretching all the way to the horizon. Inside the Combat Information Center, the first alert isn't dramatic. It's routine, a quiet tone. One new contact appears on the screen, then another, then 4 more in rapid succession. 6 surface tracks show up almost at the same moment. Their bearings are spread out. Their speeds are different. Then those speeds begin to climb. Multiple surface contacts. Range, 28 nautical miles. On the bridge, no one reacts outwardly. No raised voices, no sudden movements. There's no need. Everyone on watch understands exactly what it means when 6 contacts appear like that. The radar operator adjusts the scale. The shapes on the display sharpen. What were once small blips now become clear returns. These signatures match military-sized hulls, not commercial traffic, not fishing vessels. Condition 3. The message moves through the ship calmly, but it carries weight. Weapons teams subtly shift their stance. Hatches are checked. Systems begin to power up. Not fully armed, not yet, but alert and ready. On the bridge, the carrier holds its course. 22 knots, straight ahead. No change in direction. CPA calculations begin updating. The closest point of approach slowly starts to shrink. At first, the change is gradual, then it speeds up. The 6 contacts accelerate. 20 knots, 24, one pushes past 26. They aren't drifting, they're maneuvering. On the tactical display, their movement forms a loose arc. The pattern becomes clear. 2 ships angle toward the port quarter. 2 move forward along the carrier's projected path. The remaining pair trail behind, offset slightly, observing. A wide circle, still distant but tightening. Long-range optics activate. Electro-optical sensors extend out over the water. The zoom tightens. Heat signatures appear against the cool ocean surface. Gray hulls, sharp bows, low silhouettes, warships. The captain steps closer to the bridge windows. He says nothing. He doesn't have to. The information on the displays already explains the situation. A recommendation comes from CIC. Initiate a bridge-to-bridge call. The order is approved. The message goes out over standard maritime frequencies. Calm, professional, neutral in tone. There is no reply. The ships continue closing in. 20 nautical miles. One of the vessels adjusts course by 3 degrees. A small change, but deliberate. The arc tightens. Inside CIC, the track supervisor marks the movement. Timestamp recorded. Contact Alpha adjusting for intercept geometry. The carrier does not respond with maneuvering. No turn, no change in speed. The flight deck remains quiet. Aircraft are secured in place, wings folded as if the morning were completely ordinary. That's intentional. Confirm vessel profiles. The analyst answers without hesitation. Mast configuration, radar arrays, hull proportions. Every detail matches. Russian surface combatants. 6 ships. The confirmation brings no visible reaction. Nationality doesn't change the procedure. Only intent matters. And intent is becoming clearer. At 50 nautical miles, the distance is no longer theoretical. At this range, even small course changes carry meaning. Misjudgments can quickly turn into serious situations. The forward 5-inch gun rotates slightly, just a few degrees. Barely noticeable, but visible through binoculars. A quiet signal. No shot fired, no escalation, just a reminder. Electronic monitoring systems increase sensitivity. The ship isn't transmitting, it's listening. Every signal is collected, every radar sweep cataloged, every emission analyzed. The Russian ships are active now. Their radars search and measure. They are tracking the carrier. CPA drops below 4 nautical miles, and still decreasing. The circle tightens once more. One ship edges slightly ahead of the others, probing the space. Another hangs back, maintaining distance like a reserve element. This isn't disorder, it's coordination. The carrier remains at the center, massive, steady, silent. On the bridge, a junior officer briefly looks toward the captain. The captain doesn't return the glance. His attention stays fixed on the water ahead, on the invisible lines forming around the ship. No one grabs a microphone, no one raises their voice. Outside, the sea remains calm. Sunlight reflects off gray steel hulls. To someone untrained, it might look like nothing unusual is happening. But inside the carrier, every system is tracking the same reality. 6 Russian warships are moving closer to a U.S. aircraft carrier, and the distance between them is shrinking with every passing second. 5:26 local time. The range falls below 12 nautical miles. At this point, the ocean is no longer just open water. It becomes a matter of angles, speed, and positioning. Intent is no longer hidden. Inside the Combat Information Center, the surface picture tightens. 6 contacts now move with clear intention. No longer a loose arc, no longer coincidence. They are shaping the water around the carrier. The tracks begin coordinating their course changes. On the tactical display, the movements update instantly. 2 Russian ships drift wider to port, applying lateral pressure. Another pair approaches from starboard, their wakes bright against the darker sea. The last 2 remain astern, slightly offset, quietly controlling the open space behind. It's a classic surface encirclement pattern, not aggressive enough to trigger any defensive response, but close enough that no one mistakes what's happening. CPA now reads 3.2 nautical miles. The carrier continues forward at 22 knots, course steady, unchanged. The flight deck remains secured. No aircraft launch, no alarms across the deck. From the outside, the ship appears completely calm, almost uninterested. Inside, every detail is being captured. Long-range cameras zoom in on individual hull numbers. Radar operators isolate signal emissions. Electronic warfare teams begin analyzing patterns, pulse rates, power levels, sweep intervals. Every second the Russian ships remain close, they reveal more information. Bridge-to-bridge call, second attempt. The message goes out again. Clear, professional. Standard maritime language, no reply, no acknowledgement, no change in course. Instead, the Russian ships respond with movement. One vessel on the carrier's port bow increases speed, 27 knots. It angles slightly across the carrier's projected path, compressing the water ahead. Another mirrors the motion from starboard, not crossing the path, but tightening the space. Pressure, not provocation. On the bridge, the officer of the deck watches the bearing lines narrow. His tone stays calm. Recommend show of presence. The captain gives a single nod. No weapons are activated, no launch systems uncovered. Instead, the ship subtly shifts posture. Sensors sharpen. Recording systems activate across multiple channels. This is how presence is shown without a single shot. The forward 5-inch gun moves again, only slightly. The rotation is slow and mechanical, but impossible to misunderstand for anyone observing through binoculars. The Russian ships maintain their formation. CPA, 2.5 nautical miles. At this distance, even the interaction of ship wakes begins to matter. Small course adjustments can create powerful turbulence. The risk is no longer theoretical. Still, the carrier does not turn. That choice isn't about stubbornness, it's about clarity. If a carrier altered course under pressure, it would be noted immediately, logged, analyzed, replayed again and again. So the carrier holds its line. From above, the geometry would look deliberate. 6 gray arrows angled inward. One massive vessel at the center, cutting a straight path through them. A tightening circle. Contact Delta altering heading. 5 degrees inward. That's the moment the tension shifts. Delta's move isn't dramatic. It's precise, calculated. If the carrier keeps its current course, and it does, the closest point of approach will drop below 2 nautical miles. Inside CIC, the track supervisor flags the maneuver. Red outline. Priority attention. This will be the closest pass so far. Electronic sensors immediately begin collecting new data. Russian radar shift modes. Narrower beams, tighter focus. They're no longer just aware of the carrier. They're studying it, and the carrier is studying them right back. Every emission is captured, stored, time-stamped. The Russian ships believe they are compressing the space around the carrier. In reality, they are expanding the record. CPA now reads 1.9 nautical miles and still trending lower. On the bridge, several seconds pass in silence. Then the captain speaks. Maintain course. 2 words. Calm. No explanation needed. The Russian ships hold their positions. The ring is no longer wide enough to ignore. Now it's tight enough that sailors on deck can clearly see steel hulls on the horizon. Ships moving through the water in careful alignment. This is not accidental. This is controlled pressure at sea. No weapons are raised. No alarms sound. But every system aboard the carrier is now fully alert, watching 6 warships maneuver nearby. And one of them is still edging closer. 5:34 local time. The carrier does not change speed. 22 knots. Steady, ordinary, intentional. From the outside, it may look passive. Inside the network, it looks absolute. The surface picture is no longer limited to a single ship. Information now flows across the entire strike group in real time. Escorts, airborne sensors, and offboard sources combine into one detailed model of the ocean around them. 6 Russian warships. Every bearing, every turn rate, every acceleration recorded down to the second. This moment is no longer about who is closer. It's about who sees more. Inside the Combat Information Center, the display gains depth. No longer just icons on a screen, now layers of prediction and certainty. Projected paths extend ahead of each contact. Intercept calculations update silently in the background. Time to contact numbers appear and disappear as algorithms refine the data. No one announces them. They don't have to. Contacts maintaining encirclement geometry. The Russian ships continue their pattern, tightening and loosening the ring in subtle cycles. Pressure applied, pressure eased, testing for a reaction. They receive none. The carrier's escorts remain outside the immediate formation, far enough to stay out of the choreography, but close enough to respond instantly if needed. Their radars remain active, controlled. Their weapons stay covered. This restraint is deliberate. Above the formation, invisible to the eye, the air picture grows clearer. Surveillance systems observe the scene from angles the Russian ships never consider. From altitude, the geometry looks simple. The ring is not a trap, it's exposure. Russian emissions shifting frequency bands. Electronic warfare specialists lean closer to their displays. They are not concerned by the change. They are curious. Every adjustment reveals something, habits, preferences, limitations. Every radar sweep leaves a signature, and signatures can be cataloged. On the bridge, sunlight flashes across the water as the carrier's bow cuts steadily through the sea. Sailors on deck move with purpose, but without urgency. Helm steady, course unchanged. The message remains consistent. We are not reacting, we are recording. CPA holds between 1.8 and 2 nautical miles. The nearest Russian ship remains just outside the most dangerous distance, close enough to see clearly, far enough to avoid crossing the line. And everyone involved knows that line exists. The carrier understands that the Russian ships know the situation just as clearly. This is where true superiority appears, not through firepower, but through control. The Russian vessels push their sensors harder. Their radar beams grow narrower, scans more focused. Electronically, their ships lean forward, trying to read the carrier's posture. What they don't realize is that the carrier isn't hiding anything. It doesn't need to. Everything they're searching for has already been studied many times over. What matters now is what they're revealing. Inside the Combat Information Center, a junior analyst notices a pattern, repeating radar sweep intervals. A slight timing drift between two of the Russian ships. Coordination, but not perfect. Logged. Another operator notices a delay between maneuver commands and execution on one of the hulls. A small lag. Older systems. Logged. None of it is discussed aloud. It doesn't have to be. The system remembers everything. On the bridge, the captain watches the horizon through polarized glass. 6 gray ships now hold their positions in an evenly spaced ring. They're waiting for a reaction, a turn, a speed change, any motion that breaks the calm. They get none. Contact Bravo reducing speed. That's new. Bravo drops from 25 knots to 22, matching the carrier exactly. The move isn't aggressive, it's curious. Mirroring, the circle shifts slightly as the other ships adjust to the change. The carrier remains steady. Silence stretches across the bridge. The ocean stays calm, but the situation is no longer static. It's balanced, tight, controlled. Every Russian ship is now within visual range. Sailors can see hull lines, deck structures, even crew members moving along the decks. Flags are visible. So are cameras. They're recording the moment too. That's expected, but their perspective is different. They see a carrier surrounded. The carrier sees 6 ships that have been fully mapped, measured, and understood. This is the moment when pressure stops rising and begins testing resolve. And one Russian ship is about to test it too far. 5:41 local time. The balance shifts quietly. Contact Delta altering course. Aggressive vector. Delta's track bends inward. Not a wide turn, not a dramatic maneuver. A precise adjustment aimed directly toward the space in front of the carrier's bow. CPA drops quickly. 2.1 nautical miles. 2.0, 1.7. That number matters. At this distance, the wakes of large ships begin to interact. At this distance, assumptions become dangerous. On the bridge, the officer of the deck keeps his voice calm. Mark Delta priority track. Inside the Combat Information Center, Delta's icon turns solid red. Sensors automatically retask. Cameras pivot toward the contact. Range filters tighten. Delta increases speed again. 28 knots. Its bow wake sharpens, white water spreading outward as the ship pushes forward. This is no longer mirroring. This is a probe. The carrier still does not turn. The captain stands quietly, hands resting on the edge of the chart table, eyes fixed forward. No order to maneuver, no command to escalate. The decision is deliberate. If the carrier turns now, the entire story changes. So it doesn't. Recommend airborne presence. The request moves through the chain of command smoothly. Approved. On the flight deck, a Seahawk crew is already moving. No alarms, no rush, just practiced motion. Rotor blades unfold, systems power up. From Delta's bridge, the helicopter is impossible to miss. It lifts cleanly off the carrier's deck and moves low across the water. Its nose points directly toward the approaching Russian ship. Not fast, not aggressive, but impossible to ignore. The Seahawk stabilizes at 200 feet, holding position just off Delta's port side. Cameras are recording, sensors lock in. Every visible detail is captured. Deck layout, crew movement, antenna positions. The helicopter doesn't cross the ship's bow. It doesn't need to. A green laser pulses once, steady and unmistakable, illuminating the bridge windows of the Russian ship. Non-lethal, precise. The radio call follows immediately. Calm, controlled. Russian naval vessel, this is a United States Navy aircraft. You are conducting unsafe maneuvers in international waters. Alter course immediately. The message repeats, first in English, then again in Russian. Delta maintains its course for 5 long seconds. Then its bow wake begins to shorten. Speed drops from 28 knots down to 24. The closest point of approach stabilizes. Inside CIC, the change appears instantly on the display. Delta reducing speed, CPA holding at 1.6 nautical miles. The ring begins to shift. 2 other Russian ships adjust slightly outward, opening space that had been closing only moments earlier. Another vessel eases back astern, widening the separation. The geometry loosens. The pressure begins to release, not all at once, but clearly. The Seahawk remains in position, steady and quiet. Its presence is unmistakable. Cameras continue recording. Sensors continue listening. This isn't intimidation, it's documentation. Finally, the Russian ship's bridge responds. A short transmission comes across the frequency, controlled, formal. United States naval vessel, we are conducting routine operations. We request safe separation. The captain hears the message. He doesn't respond immediately. Then the order is given. Maintain course. The reply from the carrier is transmitted, firm and neutral. You are operating in international waters. Your maneuvers are being recorded. Nothing more. The Seahawk begins to peel away slowly, climbing just enough to clear the ship's airspace. Its cameras never turn away. Delta adjusts course, 4 degrees outward. A small change, but decisive. CPA increases. 1.8 nautical miles. 2.2. The ring continues to unravel. Ships that had been pressing inward moments earlier now drift outward, quietly restoring distance. There are no dramatic turns. No signals of retreat, just space returning to the water. On the bridge, the captain exhales once. Not relief, resolution. The carrier remains on course, speed unchanged, the flight deck quiet. A boundary was approached and then quietly redrawn. The Russian warships now hold safer distances. Their formation no longer tight, no longer pressing inward. The moment of decision has passed, and the outcome is clear, without a single shot. 5:44 local time. The ocean begins to open again. What had been compressed geometry slowly stretches back into distance. Bearings widen, CPA numbers climb. The ring dissolves, not through retreat, but through restraint. One Russian ship alters course first, 5 degrees outward. Speed steady, no announcement. Another follows, then a third. The remaining vessels hold their positions for several seconds, as if confirming the shift before easing away in sequence. The choreography reverses itself. Quiet, deliberate. No retreat call is made. None is needed. Inside the Combat Information Center, the surface picture stabilizes. Red priority outlines fade back to normal tracking colors. Predicted paths now extend away from the carrier rather than toward it. Contacts increasing range. On the bridge, the captain gives a single nod. The Seahawk returns to the flight deck, descending with the same calm precision it launched with. Its wheels touch down smoothly, rotor blades begin folding, systems power down, and the carrier continues forward, exactly as it had the entire time. The recording continues until the Seahawk's wheels are fully secured on the deck. Inside the Combat Information Center, operators keep logging everything. Timestamps, course adjustments, speed changes. Every second of the encounter is preserved. This is the part no one outside ever sees. Not the tightening ring of ships, not the green laser touching the bridge windows, not the moment when the distance finally stops shrinking. The record, every maneuver, every signal, every hesitation. This is where the real outcome lives. On the bridge, one fact stands out clearly. The carrier never changed course. 22 knots from beginning to end. No increase in speed, no turn to port, no turn to starboard. From the outside, the event might look uneventful. From inside the system, it's decisive. The Russian ships now maintain their distance, still visible on the horizon, still observing, but no longer closing in. Their formation has loosened. Now, it's observational rather than pressing. The pressure is gone. No victory is announced, no message echoes through the ship's speakers. There's no applause, no celebration. That's not how these moments work. The carrier simply continues forward, cutting through calm water toward an open horizon. Sailors return to routine movements, watch rotations continue. Coffee cups appear beside consoles that never stopped glowing. For the crew, this wasn't a confrontation. It was a process, a test of discipline, a demonstration of control. Inside the wider network, analysts begin their work. Logs are compared, timelines aligned, signal emissions matched against known reference libraries. They confirm what was already suspected. 6 warships approached. One came closer than the rest, then the distance increased again. That difference matters. Because at sea, escalation isn't defined by weapons used. It's defined by decisions made under pressure. The Russian ships chose distance. The carrier chose consistency. No one crossed the final boundary, and that's exactly the point. As the range continues to grow, the surface picture becomes simpler again. 6 contacts gradually shift into background tracks. Interest levels drop. Priority returns to routine operations. The event doesn't end with a dramatic moment. It ends with space, and that's how it will be recorded. Time, location, participants, actions taken, no opinions, no dramatic conclusions, just facts. A U.S. aircraft carrier maintained its course in international waters. 6 Russian warships approached. One tested the boundary. The boundary held. The sea returns to its quiet geometry. Flat water, a clear horizon, steel ships moving through open space. And somewhere within the logs, that moment remains preserved. Proof that control at sea doesn't belong to the loudest ship or the closest hull. It belongs to the one that never needed to move.